Welcome in. It's another day here at Sporttrade HQ. A little look at the bullpen. We're going to be looking at the bullpen a lot on Sunday because on Sunday we have what I think is going to be a super cool opportunity to really branch out here at Sporttrade. We're going to be trading the game. That, of course, means we're going to watch live as myself, Anita Marks, and Matt Grecia are live trading the end of the 1 p.m. NFL slate into the 4:15 NFL slate. And in doing so, we will track the biggest trades and price swings. It's basically if Mad Money and NFL Red Zone had a baby, this is the baby that those two would produce. Let that run wild in your imagination. And with that, we welcome our UFC expert here at Sporttrade, Gerard Malo, who also runs MMA Monkey on Instagram, a page that is continuously growing its following, almost 2,000 followers, and continues to grow. You, at one point, Gerard had, like 12,000 on our previous page, and you're building it right back up. What's up? How are you?
Yeah. Thanks for the intro. Don't like to talk about the 12,000 because that page did get taken down.
Sorry.
For some video copyright infringement.
Hosting 101.
So
Hosting 101. Just insult the guests right before. Yeah. So my bad. I apologize.
Yeah, but I appreciate it. Like the intro, and I guess this will be the first UFC market movers of the year.
The first of many.
One of the year.
First and last one of the year. But now that you can trade UFC on Sporttrade, we're really excited to bring you that option because it is such a fun sport to trade on. Not just bet on, but trade on, especially as these things are, in the middle of the rounds, maybe even during the rounds, Gerard. We're really excited to be able to talk about it. So UFC on Saturday night from Las Vegas. It's the last real card of the year. Give us an idea of how this card sort of stacks up. Put it in context for us. How good of a card is this?
Well, it's hard coming off the tail of a UFC pay-per-view, which they do once a month. So it's always hard for a fight night card to follow that up. Even though this is a great card, top to bottom, there are a lot of sleeper fights on here and a lot of future title implications on this card. It just is hard coming after a pay-per-view. All the energy gets sucked out of the UFC mainstream fandom. But all the hardcore fans like myself are pretty excited for this card, and it being the last one of the year, the UFC is definitely delivering. My only kind of gripe with this card is the UFC this year, and ever since COVID, for that, they built the UFC Apex, so it's like their own little arena that's closed off to the public that they can just do their own production. It's easy for them to get fighters in and out and do it on a week-to-week basis instead of like touring the country and selling tickets at small arenas, usually basketball stadiums and hockey arenas they would go to. So I heard in 2023 they're going to start traveling again and get some fans in there, which is always makes for a better TV experience, in my opinion. Sometimes it is cool seeing it on Apex. It's like watching the NBA bubble, as we all watched. You could hear everything. It's almost like a scrimmage that you get like inside look in that you shouldn't be seeing. So that's kind of the feel. But after 2 years of it, I'm looking forward to them touring the country again and getting some fans in there.
So we're going to go through the card. We're going to focus on the co-headlining bouts a little bit later. But take me through the undercards here. We've got our markets pulled up here on Sporttrade in between the two of us. Who are some of the fighters that you feel like are presenting some value on Sporttrade? Who are some of the fighters that maybe you are fading big time?
Yeah, so we're offering the entire main card, and the main card is 6 fights. Usually it's 5. I'm surprised UFC is doing 6 fights. I guess there's a ton of fights on this card. But yeah, so we're going through the 6 fights here, and just some right off the bat, just some great value I'm seeing. Damir Ismagulov, and Dan, you will get used to pronouncing crazy names if you watch enough UFC, because this.
Oh, I've done my research on Damir. I've got some questions for you about that one. Just look, hey. To be 100 with everybody, you can't follow every sport.
No,
all right. I host this show. I talk about a lot of sports. I love a lot of sports. I don't dislike UFC. You just can't follow everything. All right. That's why we've got Gerard here. Yeah. He's the expert. I am very much a UFC, whatever below a novice is. That's me. That's why I ask the questions.
Okay, you got your white belt, but
yeah,
we're gonna build that over 2023. You're gonna be pronouncing all these names backwards and forwards. So right off the bat, even though my pick going into this would be Arman, Damir has great value at $36.50 to trade on. And as you can see, we did add American odds. Do you have American odds pulled up there on your screen?
We do, yeah. So yes, 170 for Damir and 185 for Arman. Now I want to come back to that one. So let's go to a different fight. Is there another fighter in a different bout that you think presents value?
Yeah, so another fight that presents a lot of value is Bobby Green. Bobby Green's trading at $43 on Sporttrade, plus 130 American odds, and this is going to be a very close fight. I don't know if you want me to go into the fights now or in a little bit. Just tell
me. No, go for it.
Okay, so yeah, so the Bobby Green Drew Dober fights should be like a pick'em fight in my opinion. Bobby Green's looked great recently. He has unbelievable striking. I don't know if you've ever seen him fight, but he keeps his hands down, bobs his head left and right, is super big time showboat. And Drew Dober probably has one of the best chins in the UFC, and definitely pound for pound in his weight class. So it's going to be a brawl standing up. It's probably going to be no takedowns, and someone's probably getting knocked out. So that's going to be a really good one to watch for. My pick is Bobby Green here, and he is trading as the underdog. So I might be laying some units on Bobby Green on the beta app, because I am not allowed to trade on our production app.
We like to joke here. Greg Rappaport's been on the show. He's obviously our social media manager. We like to joke about his unit size. We don't unit shame. There's no unit shaming going on. But we do call them G units, and they are pretty small.
Yeah.
And Greg is here. So if Greg runs into the studio to defend his own honor, don't be surprised.
I also like not doing a lot of units, and my name starts with a G. So I will also be stealing that. So
all right, so
Greg can also do that together.
So for UFC, they're Gerard units, G units, and for bets solely on the New York Jets, they are Greg units. Who do you think is perhaps overvalued? Who's overpriced? Is it just the inverse of the ones that you said? There we go. Sporttrade commenting, it's a G thing. There you go. Is there anybody that you think is just wildly overpriced, perhaps?
I think I'm not 100% sure on this pronunciation, but I'm going to give it my best. Michal Olajaychuk is trading at minus 280 right now, and I just think that's a little too high. What do you have as the Sporttrade?
We have him at minus 262, so $72 in implied probability.
Yeah, it's a close fight, and it's a hard one to pick. Let me just pull up some of my bullet points here.
Sure.
The reason being is Cody's coming off. Cody's taking this fight on short notice. So that always right there, coming on short notice, it's always hard to train for a fight and get in shape. You're usually worried about making weight rather than, improving your skills, focusing on your opponent. So he's coming in on short notice, which is always hard to do. But he's got the style to beat Michel. I mean, Cody's a solid college wrestler. He has decent chain wrestling, and he throws heavy punches to get you worried about the punches and then shoots underneath of them. And if there's one thing Jacek struggles with, it is grappling. He's a great striker with fast hands, tons of pressure. He has great power. He usually wins by outspeed. He has so much speed that he's just faster than most of his opponents striking. But the holes in his game are grappling. So if Cody is coming into this fight in shape, ready to go, I see Cody getting it done with his takedowns, maybe squeaking out a decision with the judges. So I think Michel's a little bit overpriced here. Could be. I would pick Michel to win, but I don't know about that plus. What is he? He's $72 on here.
Yeah, 72 on Sporttrade. Yeah, Cody is at 29.
Yeah, so
seems like a great buy low opportunity.
Yeah, and also Sporttrade's unbelievable for trading live. So if you if you think it's going to be a close fight like I do, maybe you get in on Cody early, sell out after round 1, round 2, whenever you can, whenever he's looking good. So that could be a great fight to trade live. And trading live is probably one of the most fun things to do with the Sporttrade app. I've been doing it with my buddies on the beta app for World Cup, and World Cup's been amazing to trade live, especially before penalty kicks or something. But
let's move on to one of the fights that you had sort of mentioned before. That's the co-headliner in a lightweight bout at 155 pounds between Armen Sarkisian and your boy Damir Esmagulov. Close?
That's a pretty good, Esmagulov. That's spot on. But I will correct you on the first one. It's Armen Sarkisian.
Oh, way off.
But you were
Sarkisian.
Close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's $65 to win. Oh, excuse me.
Yep.
$65 to win. Now 64.5, and Esmagulov is 36.5. But he's on a 19-match winning streak that includes his first 5 UFC appearances. So why is he the underdog? Is it an age difference? There's a 5-year age difference between the two. Esmagulov is 31, and Arman is 26. Is that the reason for this? Can you explain?
Yeah, so I would say the main reason for this is Ismagulov isn't as well tested as Armen. Armen's fought some really elite guys at 155, which is probably the premier division in the UFC right now. There's just so many good guys at 155, and it makes sense. Most people fighting at 155 weigh around 175, so that's your average male, I guess you could say. So the most talent's at 155 right now, and Armen just came off a huge. Even though he lost, he had a great performance against Gamrot, who's ranked in the top 10, who just had a tough fight a couple months ago. But Armen's been looking great, and he's fought great competition. Ismagulov's a little more under the radar. Most people probably haven't heard of him, except for the UFC hardcores. But he's on a crazy win streak, like you were saying. And as I was saying in the start of the show, he is probably the best value out of anyone from a training perspective. Just to give you some highlights on Damir, he's really good everywhere, and one of his best aspects is his cardio. And if anyone that's watched Armen fight in his last fight, the reason why I think he lost that fight was he did fade towards the end of it. However, it was a 5-round fight. This is a 3-round fight. It's a huge difference. 15 minutes versus 25 minutes couldn't be a bigger night and day with the time of So,
well, their combined records, I mean, you look at it, Esmagulov is 24-1. Like you said, perhaps not as tested as a professional bout. That's not a UFC record. 24-1 as a professional. And Sarkisian, maybe, 18-3. So as you mentioned, perhaps he's more tested in the UFC. You said he's played in he has fought in a ton of great fights. But would you be more willing to buy Esmagulov at 36.5 as opposed to laying the favorite?
I would. And another thing to note is these two guys, one of them probably will, the winner of this fight, I would bet on fighting for the title in 2023 or early 24, depending on timing. You never know with injuries with the champions and stuff, how long that can take. But one of these two guys is fighting for a title in the next 18 months. I would put money on that. So it's going to be a close fight. I do see value on betting Damir here. That's what I would do personally. And another thing to note is while he's not much of a finisher, Damir, he's extremely dominant in all his fights. So if he does face some adversity, we'll see how he handles it. So that could be that's probably another reason why Armen is the favorite here. But it's going to be an interesting one, and probably the one most UFC fans are looking forward to, even more so than the main event.
Well, let's get into that main event. It is, of course, between Jared Cannonier and Sean Strickland. Cannonier, maybe? Am I right on that one?
Cannoneer.
Sure.
Very
Cannonier
close.
at 49.5 at last check. That is still the price. 15-6 overall, 10-2 by way of knockout, 2-0 by submission. Sean Strickland at $52, 25-4, 10-2 by knockout, 4-0 by submission. A matchup of two fighters, Gerard, who are coming off losses to the recent middleweight championship fight. This was supposed to be fought in October, but Strickland had an infected finger. Now they've moved it up to December. Cannonier looking to sort of secure a spot here in the top 5 in this division, while Strickland coming off, we had talked before the show, sort of an uncharacteristic knockout via Alex Pereira in the first round. A lot of people didn't think he fought his fight. He was trying to stand up and try to take him on mano a mano. Didn't work.
Yeah.
So many are expecting a more focused and disciplined Strickland this weekend, including a lot of the people in his camp. What are you expecting?
I'm expecting a close fight. Not sure how exciting this fight's going to be, as Jared typically likes to fight as a counter striker. Strickland does like to come forward, but he might be a little hesitant after like that last knockout loss he had to Alex Pereira, which was pretty brutal. And he's making a pretty quick turnaround.
24 seconds, I think. It was 24 seconds into the first round. Is that right?
I forget. Yeah, it was in the first round. I forget the time, but I mean, he got dropped, got back up, got dropped, got put out cold, and Pereira hits like a Mack truck. So we'll see how he's coming back after KO. I don't know if Strickland's ever been stopped like that before. So you never know what that does to a fighter's psyche, to their confidence going forward. I mean, that's always in your back of your head. You know what I mean? Especially coming off a loss, you don't want to take another loss. So we'll see if Strickland stays true to what got him here, coming forward, throwing the long jab, just outpacing people, beating them with volume. And we'll see if Jared has the ability to counter strike like Pereira did and maybe land something heavy on him and really rock Strickland and get him walking backwards. So this is going to be a great fight. Right off the bat, I like the value of Cannonier here. Cannonier has crazy power. I don't know if you know this, but he's coming down from, he originally started his career at heavyweight, which has a weight limit of 265.
Wow.
And he was fighting in, I think he was like 240, around that range, cut back down to light heavyweight, which was 205. And now he's down to middleweight, 185. So
sounds like me after college.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He had the freshman 40. So
been there, done that. Yeah.
Yeah. If you see a before and after of Jared Cannonier, it's pretty crazy. He doesn't even look like the same human being. But he did carry some of that power with him. So that's something Strickland's going to have to be worrisome of, is just recklessly going forward, throwing too many jabs without getting. You're looking at a picture?
I'm looking at a picture right now. Hold on, I'm going to pull one up. You
pull this up.
Phil, as they say, and I'm going to pull this up. This doesn't even look like the same person.
It really doesn't.
Like unbelievable.
Hair, everything.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. I'm just gonna throw it right on the screen here. There you go.
Yeah, that's
unbelievable.
Left is heavyweight, middle's light heavyweight, right is middleweight. Yeah, crazy.
And his cardio doctor, his cardiologist, is probably thrilled.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
I'm sure
gosh.
his blood work's amazing now.
An Adonis.
Doesn't have high cholesterol. He's probably not pre-diabetic.
So if you're seriously. So if you're coming from a situation where you're 240 plus and now you're at 185, I mean, yes, you probably lose a little bit of that power. Do you imagine it would be difficult, because you're fighting a certain way at 245 as opposed to 185? How many of those particular tactics can you take with you when you're fighting 60 pounds lighter? Right? I can't imagine you can't borrow the same philosophies.
Right. Yeah, you have to adapt, and he's done a good job. I believe he changed camps as well after coming down to middleweight. So he's been getting some different coaching to try to change his strategy. One thing he cannot do in this fight, which I think is probably some of the negative traits he's carried from heavyweight, is sometimes he's a little passive. He waits a little too much. And if you wait a little too much on Strickland, he's just going to jab you to death and probably squeak out a decision. And Cannonier has been a little gun shy in the past in some of his losses. So that's probably one of the negative traits he learned at heavyweight. Because, heavyweights, you can't throw too much. You'll gas out. You'll get clipped with one shot. You'll get put out. So we'll see how he does. This is going to be an interesting fight. And, of course, Strickland's mainly got pretty popular the past 2 years from the way he speaks. I mean, this guy is as wild as they come. in terms of his opinions and making headlines, and especially at press conferences. He's probably one of the most outspoken athletes in the United States. So if you haven't seen a Sean Strickland press conference, you're in for a treat this week. He's out of his mind, but people love him and people hate him.
Fair enough. Gerard, thank you so much. Do you want to give us a rundown of your picks real quick? Just as a recap.
Yeah, sure. So just focusing on the 6 fights Sporttrade is offering right now. I'll start at the top. I am going Cannonier here, even though he is the underdog.
Okay.
I like his value. Co-main, I'm going Arman Sarukian. I do like Demir's value, though, so I might be betting Demir early and maybe getting out early if possible. But if I had to just pick, gun to the head, I'm going Arman. Then I got in the fight we didn't talk about, Amir Abazi, very good fighter. I believe he's the heavy favorite. Let's see what his trading price
He's at
is.
80.5, so $80.50 per contract. Costa is $21.
So it's always tough betting something that's $80. But I mean,
You don't have to buy in full contracts.
Yes, you don't have to buy full contract. You could buy any amount of contract you can. I think you can go as low as a cent if you want on Sporttrade. So if you're that frugal, you can even go down that low. But I do like Albazi. I think it's warranted the price. Next, I like Julian Erosa, and this is another one with great value. Erosa is trading at
61.5.
61.5.
Yeah.
I think he could easily be trading at 70. So I like Erosa here for his value. I think it's a lock, honestly. Erosa's great. Next fight, Drew Dober, Bobby Green. Super close fight, going Bobby Green. I think the odds should be a little bit closer, almost a pick'em fight there, even though Drew Dober is the slight favorite. And last but not least, I got Mikhail Olenjacek. I hope I'm saying that right. Don't kill me, Mikhail, online. And those are my 6 picks for this card. We'll see how I do. This is a tough card to pick, so you never know with UFC.
Not the last time we'll be talking to this man, Gerard Malo. Thank you so much. Go follow his Instagram page, MMA Monkey, correct? That's the @ as well?
Yep, I believe so. At MMA Monkey. I don't think there's a "the" in there. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. We'll go follow him on that page. We'll show you one more time about Trading the Game coming up right here on Sunday with Anita Marks, Matt Garcia, and myself as we go through the witching hour, the end of the 1 p.m. slate. We will show you all the price movements, all the biggest trades, and of course, we'll be doing some live trading of our own. Don't miss it. That is, of course, our show for today. That is Market Movers on a Wednesday. We're back tomorrow, 4 o'clock on the dot. I promise it. I just signed myself up for a computer meltdown. We'll see you tomorrow.